It's time to find out
What Shane
said with Shane Manila.
Hey, welcome to another Shane Says. It's been a while, or it's been about 2 weeks, which is generally my cadence, right? Every 2 weeks or so. Sometimes I'll pop one in there once a week, depending on how I feel. Definitely won't be popping one out next week because being Mobile, Alabama, baby. Someone that won't be there with me is today's guest, my friend, your friend, the Canadian destroyer, Ty Declare. Ty, if the people don't know where you're from, tell them quickly, briefly, and how are you doing also, quickly, briefly.
Good. Canada trades.
Okay, so Ty has a trade show on this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit subscribe, and you can watch Ty show with Gabe, the all gassing trades, all gas trade show.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about today, we're talking about the value of 101s, right? Every league has at least one person that has the 101. Most leagues, just one person, I'd say, right? There are some copy leagues where there's multiple, even if it's the 102, it's really the 101.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into that because that's just craziness. We're talking about regular old leagues, right? We want to talk about the value. What are you going to do with them? Should you make the pick? If you've earned the pick, if your team is awful and you literally deserve that pick, do you treat that differently than in a league where you trade it for the pick? You just snookered someone. Again, that's not a real word, but I'll use it. You just fooled someone, right? You did one of those old okie dokes 2 years ago where you were like, hey, you give me your 25 first. I'll give you my 25 first. Let's just bet against each other and see what happens. And you just so happen to win the championship or something like that. And that team assed out. Assed out is the technical term. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And the very first place we thought to go to look at values for the 101 is Dynasty Daddy. The parameters that we wanted to look at, we're looking at 10, 12, and 14 team leagues. We're looking at single and superflex quarterback leagues. And I believe 9, 10, and 11 starters. Right. So, I wanted to get a wide spectrum, a wide sample size. There you go. Wide sample size. So
101. So I have pull up Dynasty Daddy, the trade database. I've typed in 101. I have these settings that we talked about here. Let's hit search and see what pops up. And I mean, Shane, like just right away, something I don't want to do with the 101. Let's not trade 101 for Kyron Williams and 308 in a 12 by 10. Can we just agree there?
Yeah. And just looking at this, right? And Scott talks about this a lot, but like you're trading a player you're trading for Kyron Williams, who's already going to be below what Ashton Jeanty is. Assuming that you're drafting Ashton Jeanty, just moving Kyron Williams or moving Ashton Jeanty to get Kyron Williams is a mistake. If you felt like you didn't need a running back, it would be weird. It wouldn't make sense because you wouldn't have traded for Kyron Williams. So I'm not really sure what the thought process here is. You got a 308 with Kyron Williams. It's a 10-team league, or 12 teams, start 10. So it's a normal size league. I am a proponent of splitting assets, right? 101s, especially if you earned it. You probably shouldn't just be making the pick because you probably have multiple holes. Otherwise, you wouldn't have finished at the 101 unless you had a Tim Duncan, San Antonio Spurs situation from many, many years ago. If anyone's old and remembers that, I am apt to split the asset. This is not really splitting that asset. This is you got we'll say top 8 running back, sure, and I don't want to say worthless. It's not worthless, but it is clearly not making up the difference here. No. Anything else you see wrong with this trade other than this person completely misvalued it?
Well, I think it's just you're taking something that, one, you could attach 101 to a trade and you can explore a wide range of trade options from the top to the bottom. You try to attach Kyron Williams and 308 to a trade, it just feels like you're already limiting yourself from that. But I think one of the mistakes we make in Dynasty, especially this early in the draft cycle process, we start already writing people's names into those picks. Right, you'll see it on like any of your favorite Dynasty streaming shows. We have a couple of that we appreciate. You'll see people already at 101 brackets, like last year, Caleb, right? So they've already kind of shoehorned the flexibility that the pick would hold into a player. And if I had to try to put myself into this person's mindset, they thought, well, this class has no quarterbacks, so we're gonna has to be it has to be Jeanty. So if it's Jeanty, if I can go to Kyron, who I think can have a similar or better production than Jeanty, and I get a third, well, that's a process deal, so I'm going to do that. It just feels short-sighted, I guess.
That's like taking the process strategy and just misunderstanding it.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, I got two things. So technically, sure, it's a process trade. You traded a pick, got a player and a pick back, but the pick is so low in value compared to everything else in this trade. Even if you like Kyron Williams, this is not how you go about getting him. If you want Kyron Williams and you're giving up the 101, you need to get another first with Kyron Williams. And I don't care if it's 25, 6, or 7. You know what I mean? That's fine. That'll mitigate this. But this makes not a lick of sense to me. Like I said, I'm a proponent of splitting. This is just a bad way to split. This feels like you said, there's no reason to make this deal right now anyway. Like, you can hold. The 101 is not going to go down in value, even if Ashton Jeanty doesn't end up being the 101. Like you said, we're just penciling him in. Who knows? Maybe it's Omarion Hampton or Caleb Johnson, or I don't know, someone else.
We're not going to be able to help ourselves if one of these quarterbacks get drafted top 5 as well. We're not going to be able to help ourselves.
Right.
So
I'm not really sure what this deal was or why they did it. Before we go to the next one, I just wanted to ask you a question, right? So we talked about earned. You earn a first by being really bad, the 101.
Yes.
And then in other cases, like I said, you make trades and you own the 101 and you didn't earn it, but you have a good roster. Do you treat that 101 any differently as far as how you value it in trades? Are you more likely to move it? Or are you more likely to hold, make the pick? Or does it not really matter to you? How you value it, I should say.
I think that should come into play. I can think about it from a couple different ways. Like, one, the team that I take, like, I'm thinking like the orphan I took over that, you know, I had to split assets. It wasn't good. It was pretty much going to be 101 from the jump. On those teams, I really don't want to make the pick at the end of the day. So I would be looking to split that probably. Like I said, can I trade down in the first? Can I pick up a future first with it? And depending on how far I trade down, can I get like a, you know, something else added in to make it make sense? I would love to do that on those kind of teams. Whereas, you know, these teams where I'm set at quarterback or I have one elite guy and enough, you know, construction to back up. I might have a running back already. I'm flush at wide receiver. I have a good tight end. Like, on those teams that are ready to go, I'm more apt to probably try to trade that 101 if it makes sense. But Shane, I mean, right now it's January 23rd. Like, I'm not really, unless I'm getting a top 15 asset in Dynasty, I'm probably not moving 101 straight up for anything, you know?
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I want more than a top 15 asset. I do. I want a top 10 asset because I think Ashton Jeanty or whichever running back ends up being 101, right? Whoever it is, it's going to be because they had the great landing spot and their profile is really good, right? It's going to be one of like 4 guys probably. So either way, that person's probably going to come in no worse than running back 5 overall. Yeah. So I need probably a top 10 asset for me to move it, right? Going back to your point, whereas there's no rush to move it on January 23rd. I have time. It's not going to decrease in value. The only way it decreases in value is if 3 of these guys go to the combine and somehow blow out a knee, knock on wood. None of them probably are going to do that. So I don't think there's a reason to make the move now. I have one league where I absolutely earned it, right? Absolutely earned it. It's DT and 5 league. I have a 14 by 11 superflex 5-point passing TD. Somehow it's no PPC, 1.75 tight end premium. I listed the assets out of players that could be considered assets, and the list consists of Brandon Ayuk, and that's the end of that story.
Don't forget about Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson, you know, just to give you an idea of what this team is dealing with. There's Tyler Bidet, Kendall Milton, Cody Schrader, Jace McMillan, Deneric Prince, Kyle Trask. So this was obviously a tank, right? Obviously I tanked, ended up with the picks. Let's see what first rounders I have. I have the 101, 104, 108. Oh, I have the 102 because Sleeper puts them in weird order. Okay. 101, 102, 104, 107, 108, 112 in the first round. Then a bunch of thirds, multiple fourths, and I already have 326 firsts and 326 seconds. This is obviously a rebuild. I'll assume you're going to agree with me. Would this be the perfect team to try to split the 101?
Yeah. No matter who you draft there, it's not changing the direction of this team. And yeah, you got a lot of volume of picks. You have picks in the future already, which is dope. But it feels like there's nothing you're going to do to this team that's really going to change the bottom line at this point. So yeah, if I can split that asset, kick that can down the road, keep that flexibility, and slowly build that thing out methodically over time versus I need to hit this player and maybe mess up my pick in 2026, 2020. Like, yeah, I don't want to have to add that player right now. Give me the layaway, give me the option. I'll push it down the road.
So let me ask you this. You have the 101 in this situation. Yeah. Again, we've listed off the assets. There's none. There's literally, it's Brandon Ayuk, which whatever. You might be able to trade him for a couple seconds at some point. What do you need back for the 101, and what are you willing to accept? So let's say, again, it's a 14-team league. So I'm going to assume that 109 and a random second in this league wouldn't be good enough.
No, it wouldn't. I'm looking at the picks you have, right? And you have a nice range of picks. And something that I really like is I like having picks back to back. If I can have like the back to back to back to back, I feel like I can really start to leverage parts of the draft that we're coming up for. So, I mean, you have 101, 102, 104, 107, 108. And then 112. So I feel like there might be some hidden value in trying to get, and guesstimate where that tier break is going to be. Try to get like, can I get a 106 in a future first? Like a lot of it means that's a sell low. Like that's way too low. Like you should probably get some kicked back, but I don't know if the quarterback doesn't end up being there, if people will truly pay up, like once we have more information. So it feels like if in this situation, you got to make a deal to have a chance. So you can't really be overly choosy. You don't got to be desperate. But if I can get maybe like 104, 106, 107, 108, or 104, 105, 17, 18, like try to condense where I have some of that value in the first, it feels like maybe an opportunity to extract some more value from that.
So I'm just going to pull down the Dynasty Daddy. We'll bring that back up, but we've kind of just been chatting some theory, some thinking here.
Yeah.
Are you more apt, or do you think it's a better idea to get a pick in 2026 as opposed to 2025? Now, obviously, you want to pick in 2025. You just said that 105, right? 106, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone offers you, let's just say 105 and 106 this year. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer a first this year and to kick the can down one more year, giving yourself maybe a little more flexibility?
I think it depends on the league. I think if I'm in an active league, I know I can make another deal and I can pick up 2 picks in this draft right now in January. Yeah, I'm probably going to prefer getting 2 picks there. But the end goal is to make my league mates make the choices for me so I can just kind of scoop the value where it's there and hopefully kick some things to the future. So you already have 3 firsts in 2026. Can I make that 4 or 5, maybe 6, and really control that draft in the next year as well?
Right. And that's the plan, obviously, with this league. If I can split the 101, great. And then can I split the 102? Then can I split the 104? That's literally the goal for all of them. As much as I want to just draft Jeanty and then go, let me split the other picks. Let me, but like you said, you could add 4 starters to this team. It's not going to make a difference this year. Even if you made all of those picks, 6 in the first and they all hit, you're still not a good team. Yeah. So yeah, in a situation where you're definitely going to have to split. Let me ask you this. Do you have any teams where you didn't earn the first, you were good, but somehow you've got the 101 because someone in your league wasn't that bright?
I'm not going to comment on my league mates' education level. I play with some Canadians, I play with some Americans, so I'm bipartisan in that. But yes, I do. So as opposed to trying to park a Ferrari in a trailer park, this team is actually pretty nice. Like it got into the playoffs as the 5th or 6th seed, kind of like I was trying to accumulate as much future value as I could while also just trying to play lean, play the waiver wire and get through while also having some studs. So let me read through the team really quick, just the main bullet points, then I'll get to the picks I have and we'll go from there. So I got Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray. Good place to start from. DeAndre Swift, Jerome Ford, like I have any running backs in a 53. Brian Thomas Jr., Terry McLaurin, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans. I got Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Juwan Jennings, like too many wide receivers. Jalen Waddle just sitting in there. And then I have Njoku and Ingram at tight end. I should probably start it with, it's a lineup league. It's a 12 team, start 10, superflex. It's a 5-point passing touchdown. It's a PPR league. It's a 1.75 tight end premium league with a 0.15 point per carry. So what I did in the startup, this is a startup from last year, is I had the 103, and I traded down from the 103 to the 111, picked up a pick, another later pick in the actual draft. But then I traded the 111 to go back to the end of the second, picked up this person's future first. And so I ended up trading Caleb Williams for Jaden Daniels in the 101 at the end of the day. So that was a good trade for me. So I ended up with 101, 108.
I just want to go out on a limb and say that worked out well for you. Yes.
I might punch it into a calculator later just to make sure. But 101, 108, 308. So now, like I said, I got the 101 in this league. And I mean, on this team, it's just going to be about, again, adding a Jeanty, that'll fit pretty nice, actually, in their nice little crown jewel at running back. So I feel like I don't have a burning need to do it, which almost makes me feel more flexible with it. Like I can go and I can just start at the top. I can try. Like I can be a little more flexible in maybe what I'll take back, but I don't have if I put this pick on this team, it's not going to change it. Like legitimately, what is locked in? If that is Jeanty, it's probably making this team better already. So you got to come to me with something that really makes sense, and I'm probably willing to play ball because I got flexibility.
So, it seems to be the theme for me today, splitting the asset. So is that a thought, trying to split this first, just to maintain flexibility going forward so that you can just kind of continue a juggernaut, right? Like it's great to add a Jeanty, but it's even greater when you end up with 3 firsts, which you can pull off. You know what I mean? You can pull off. Apparently not 2027 first.
Oh, no.
Because everybody is our joke now. Everybody's getting Jeremiah Smith, so you're not getting the 27 first from anyone. But if you're able to split this first into 226 first, would you do that? Because again, you don't have an actual need to add to your roster. You could add someone, right? Or you could go, let me get these 26 first, see what the season brings, and then just buy based off need then, or hold them, make the picks next year or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, assuming I could find that, I'd probably look at that because, again, I have such a surplus at wide receiver, especially, and I've been trying to move it. It's really hard to move some of these guys. No one really wanted to pay it for Malik Neighbors, but I feel like that probably should go up. I've been trying to move Waddle. I don't think anyone's moving Waddle across many leagues, but we'll see. Maybe he's the wide receiver 1 now, and Tyreek Hill is maybe going, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, adding 226 first gives me way more flexibility probably in the season, but again, I at least for right now, not the deal I'm looking to do right here today, because I want to play this process out a bit. I want to see what happens with this 101. I want to get to the combine. I want to see the underwear Olympics. I want to see people get excited, and then we can look at the picks at that point. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't have to do it. I can split that. I can put that in the pocket and use those picks in season once I have way more information and try to win the same way.
I probably should have asked you this when you were talking about it earlier, but that's how my brain works. Just going back to something you said earlier, you said it's about probably 15 assets you think you'd value, or 15 players you would value over the 101. I don't know if you have KTC rankings up, probably help you if you did. Off the top of your head, I mean, just go down the list, right?
Yeah.
You would take Malik Neighbors over the 101, right?
Yes.
CD Lamb?
Yes.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase?
Yes.
I don't even know if we need to mention the quarterbacks, but sure. Josh Allen,
Yes.
Jaden Daniels,
Yes.
Lamar Jackson,
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. I for what I think people want out of these picks, people want quarterback. That's what they want out of high-end picks. If I can just get Patrick Mahomes, yes, he's not Dynasty 101, but he is still such a great asset to hold in Dynasty. And hell, he's actually pretty good at this football thing. So I'm okay with it.
And then I assume Hurts as well, or no?
Yeah, Hurts as well. Yeah.
And then as I'm going through this list, right, it actually brought up another idea. If you even if you value Jeanty over, let's say, Bijan Robinson for some reason, it would make absolutely no sense to trade the Bijan Robinson for the 101, right? Because you're literally just trading for a player that you hope can turn into what Bijan Robinson's already giving.
You're Spider-Man memeing yourself. No thanks.
Okay. Just making sure that, and that's why I didn't touch on the running backs, right?
Yeah.
Not Bijan. Breece Hall. How about Breece Hall? Because his value cratered, or at least, the sentiment around his value cratered at least.
I mean, if I'm not doing it for Bijan, I'm not doing it for Gibbs, I'm not doing it for Hall. Like, I'm probably not doing it for any running back because, again, like, there's been the running back renaissance, which I've been here for, but people want the picks over the running backs, especially in the non-point scoring season. I don't need to Spider-Man me myself. Just let me hold on to the pick a little bit longer and figure that out.
All right. Well, I want to just make fun of some more trades before we get out of here.
Yes.
Because it's fun to make fun of people when it's not me. And hey, I'm self-deprecating, so I'll do it to myself. This might be one of the worst trades I've ever seen in my life. And I'm old. This is saying something. Someone gave up Alvin Kamara, the 101, and a 2026 first for Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
The only way this makes any sense to me is if this is a super Devi depleted league. Like not even just Devi depleted, right? Because I think you're in Devi leagues, and there's always at least 3 or 4 guys in the Devi draft or in the the regular draft that somehow slip through the cracks Devi that end up being really high assets.
Yeah.
Is there any explanation for this trade other than drugs?
Might be Cody Smith. Other than that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anyone else has that much Bucky love. So Cody's got competition in the Bucky camp here. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't admit.
Just really quick. I just need to.
What the dog doing?
I just need to ask what the dog doing. Like I don't know.
Dude, that's just crazy, that deal. Let me ask you this. There's a deal on here that I think I'll take. If you could get Brian Thomas Jr. for the 101, are you making that deal?
Yes. I actually see that deal a couple times as we scroll through. Yes. I think actually, it was one of the first pieces of content that you started putting out in the offseason. I think you already touted just trading the 101 for Brian Thomas Jr. Again, on these teams, I think that's probably my main baseline is I don't need to trade the 101 today. So don't feel like you have to go and try to make these deals today. But on certain teams, I mean, hell, Brian Thomas Jr. is just as flexible as a 101 will probably be, and you're locking in that. You're getting someone that people like. And again, what was that comment we saw on Wake Up? Like someone was like, "Oh, it was all Kirk and Ingram being out. That's the reason."
Kirk and Ingram being out. That's why he produced.
I'm not of that camp. You got locking in a 22-year-old stud. I mean, again, yeah, I would be making that deal. I think I can do just as much there if I'm looking at it from a flexibility standpoint and from a roster construction standpoint. I'm climbing the wide receiver ladder. So, yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, and you know what? I have the 101 in at least 2 leagues. I might have it in more. I don't know. I got to go through them. It's hard to keep track. I do not keep track of them on a spreadsheet like Scott. I probably should make my life a lot easier, but I was going through a couple leagues. I think even in a league where the best bet, well, I earned it. Let's just call it that. I earned that 101. I think I'd still make this deal. Yeah. Because like you said, he's just as valuable as a 101. Obviously, we see that there's several trades in here with him, and he is young enough that adding him to my roster, that's fine. If it takes a couple years or another year for my team to rebuild, fine. And I think his value isn't going to decrease in any way whatsoever over the next 2 years, regardless if Christian Kirk comes back, if Kirk Franklin joins the team. I don't care. Any Kirk that they find, Captain Kirk, you could grab every Kirk, put him on the team. It won't matter. Same with Ingram. Brian Thomas Jr. is just a man. So one last deal before we get out of here. There's a lot of bad deals in here. There are a lot of bad deals, and I'm trying to find a commonality between them. I don't know what it is, though. Other than I think people are, I don't want to say panicked, right? Because it's January 23rd. You should not be panicked. But it feels like people are not being patient enough or not thinking through what's good for their roster.
Yes. We like to get ahead of our skis in Dynasty. We want to be first. We want to beat everyone to the punch. But yes, the quarterback is questionable in 2025. That doesn't mean we need to punch these picks into the sun. Like you can still do a lot with an Ashton Jeanty if that's who ends up being the 101. Just from a pure, just what are we doing? Like what's going to benefit your team? I just can't really wrap my head around some of these. Like, I mean, Shane, like Debo Samuel, Dowdle, 101. We're trading away the 101. Plus that, we get Christian McCaffrey in a 26 first. I have no context on where that is, the 12-team start 11, but I mean, again, we talked about Christian McCaffrey and we saw Christian McCaffrey 111. Like, I really want the 101 there. It just feels like you're getting probably a free Samuel and Dowdle at least. Like,
so, and I can almost see it in my head, right? Someone's going, well, that's basically 2 firsts in value. And basically it is, except that it's not on the streets, because you're generally not going to be able to flip Christian McCaffrey for a first, right? He does not have that flexibility. The 111 in Christian McCaffrey, you could put it in any trade calculator you want. Those points they might match the 101. I don't think they do. Maybe, but even if they did, they don't in reality, because what the 101, the flexibility that brings, that you've just shot yourself in the foot with Christian McCaffrey. Very limited number of people that are going to want him in your league, because there are agers. That's not what they call them. Age truthers, right? And there are people that are concerned about his injury history. And then the 111 is a low first. So I don't even see how you recover from that deal unless you somehow move that 111 for a second this year, a 26 first, and then turn around and trade McCaffrey for
Jeremiah Smith,
26 second and a 27 first, something like that. Like, you got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the deals I've seen. Any thoughts on the 101 that this was a brief show. We just wanted to get it kicked off, and there's going to be a lot of talking on this channel about the 101. Anything that, this is kind of crystallizing looking at these deals, or any overarching theme in your head in general about the 101?
In general, I think I see the 101 being acquired for prices that I like. So I do want to go out shopping. I was listening to Manic and Chill the other night, Shane. I think you had a great plan just to get back in the swing of things. Is like, just choose a chunk of teams, go through them this day, choose another chunk, go through that day, just break it down, and just slowly but surely just start to get your processes right again, and just send out some deals for the 101. Send the message. Are you looking to move it now? What are you trying to do? Just get some of the juices flowing, because I mean, it feels like people are panicked and it's only January. I mean, I would probably prefer to get it done before even the Senior Bowl, just because that's when some of the real hype starts to bubble up. So if I can go out and get the 101 right now, and again, go on to Dynasty Daddy, look up some of the deals here and see if it sparks any ideas for you. But yeah, I'm encouraged by what I see on my hopes for getting more 101s.
It is crazy, and this be my overarching theme, how much not having what we consider to be strong quarterbacks affects the overall thought process on the class. How we immediately just go, that's not a great class.
Yep.
But this is a great class for running backs, right? And I think maybe part of the thinking with not valuing the 101 as high as we do in these deals is maybe these people have other firsts, and they're like, well, I don't really value Ashton Jeanty that much more than I do Caleb Johnson. I don't value him much more than I do Omarion Hampton, and I'm fine doing this deal. The one thing I would say is, just because you don't value one player over the other that much doesn't mean you should sell short on the asset that you have in the 101. Right. That's really all I have. So Ty, I appreciate you joining me. You're my dude. Again, tell people where they can find you, what shows, what are you doing?
Yeah, you can find me over on X, on Discord, really wherever you look on social media, really, at TyDeclare44. Gabe and I, we have the All Gas Trade Show dropping every Saturday on the channel. We're doing some live things in Discord this summer too. So if you want your roster reviewed, you got to get in the Discord. We have a giveaway going right now for a live roster review on stages over in the DD Discord. So get on in there, use Shane's code, use my code. Either way, please don't tell us that we sound like we have stage 4 cancer. But yeah, it was, my last takeaway here, Shane, just because the class is deep doesn't mean that I just need to, trade that 101 for a bunch of seconds today. Like, you're still holding the 101. You're still holding something really valuable. So have fun. Go make some trades.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And use Ty's code. What's your code?
It is trades to get into the all conference plus Discord, or trade GOAT to get into the GOAT tier. 50% off your first month.
There you go. Join. I promise you just give it 1 month. You're going to be hooked like crack cocaine. Although crack cocaine, you're usually hooked after like one try. So maybe you'll be hooked after one try. I don't know. I don't talk to a lot of crackheads, so maybe that's not true. Anyway, that went left quickly. So I appreciate you being on. Appreciate everyone watching. If you like the show, cool. If you don't, such is life. But let me know your thoughts on the 101. Have you made any deals for the 101 where you've acquired them or moved it? And what were those deals? So I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.